Hello, and welcome into the last edition of High School Roundup here on CUTV. We've made it to week 12 of High School Roundup, and again, I'm your host, Anthony D'Agostino, one last time, and alongside me again, as always, is my panel of football analysts, Daniel Beck and Stephen Ruffing. And guys, it's great to be here, one last show. And playoffs.
Man, that's sad. Why you guys say one last show?
Yeah, it's not our.
Hey, we'll be back next year.
Yeah,
back next year.
I like this. This is fun. This little mojo going on up here.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good season. Yeah. We had a good run.
Yeah, it was a good run, but it's got to come to a close. So we're going to close it out, as always, with our brackets. Single A first, as we had Clairton taking on Fort Cherry, the number 1 seed versus number 8 seed. Clairton came away with that victory. And Northgate taking on number 5, Bishop Canavan. Northgate coming away with that victory. And Danny, talk about that Northgate-Bishop Canavan game.
Yeah, we were talking before this game got started, and Bishop Canavan looked very strong, I believe, against Carmichael's when we saw them the last game of the regular season. And Bishop Canavan just coming into this game, Stephon Adams for Northgate passed for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. Adam also scored on a 62-yard run. So just a good running game for Northgate allowed them to get the victory 41-0.
Yeah, crazy to see that Bishop Canavan got shut out after seeing what they could do to Carmichael's. As we move on to the right side of the bracket, now Rochester took on Amani Christian, and Amani Christian fell to Rochester, the number 2 seed. Jeanette taking on Springdale, and then Jeanette just putting up a dominating performance over the number 11 seed Springdale. Talk about, Steve, the Jeanette-Springdale game.
Yeah, Jeanette, always that powerhouse. You think of Jeanette and Clairton usually in the single A conference, but the Jayhawks scored all of their points before halftime. Kareem Hall scored 4 times for the Jayhawks in that game. Finished with 112 rushing on 9 carries. I mean, that's such an impressive thing to do as a running back. Jeanette racked up 349s on the ground and reached the semifinals for the 4th time in 6 years.
As we move on into the AA bracket now, you see there Steel Valley took on the number 9 seed Laurel. Steel Valley coming away with the victory, and Riverside taking on Freedom. Freedom did not ring in that game, and Riverside came away with the victory. Dan, talk about this Freedom Riverside game.
Yeah, Ben Hughes threw 2 touchdown passes in the first quarter, and Austin Dambach also returned an interception for 70 yards. Riverside is making the first semifinal appearance since 2007. But Steve, Steel Valley.
Yeah, I know that it's pretty great to see. It's been a while since they made it far in the playoffs. Really, the past few years they either didn't make it or lost in the first round. So it's pretty cool to see them go pretty far. I'm rooting for my old high school.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I have to mention, that's your alma mater. You gotta be proud about that.
Well, we move on to the right side of the bracket. Washington is taking on Neshannock now after Washington beat the number 7 seed Brentwood, and then North Catholic beat Sierra Catholic. Sorry, I didn't have the Sierra Catholic, the Neshannock graphic in there, but that Neshannock team was very good, Danny.
Yes, Sean Doran rushed for 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. Frank Antuano rushed for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns. Antuano also passed for 257 yards. So not only just rushing, he can pass the ball as well, and that gave them a 71-28 victory.
Yeah, not a score you usually see in the playoffs, Danny.
Most definitely not. And you see all over this score sheet, you see high-scoring affairs, teams even being shut out. So these teams in the Whitfield playoffs this year, they're strong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As we move on into the AAA bracket now, you see Aliquippa took on Derry, and Derry's dream season has come to a close after Aliquippa ended up defeating them, and Keystone Oaks fell to Beaver Falls, trying to hope for an upset there, but Beaver Falls will now take on the number 1 seed Aliquippa. And, Danny, just really quickly break down this Derry season. I mean, it comes to a close. That's the Aliquippa game, but they had a dream season this year.
Yeah, and it was all pretty much controlled by Tyler Balega, and he finished with 135 yards and scored twice. Steve and I were both watching this game, the rebroadcast on Root, and just seeing, that's the first time I've seen Derry all season, seeing their rushing game and all that, but it's just Aliquippa just pushed them out thanks to 200-yard rushers, to 300-yard rushes, excuse me, not 200, but had 381 yards rushing as a team. So just a dominant performance on the ground.
And got to say, Derry had a great season this year. Very good job by them. Hopefully they can keep it up next year. But Steve, really quickly break down the number 2 and number 3 seed, Keystone Oaks Beaver Falls. Keystone Oaks just falling down there.
Yeah, Darrell Carter rushing for 180 yards on 12 carries and scored on a 7-yard run with 20 seconds left to lead Beaver Falls to a 28-21 victory. Come from behind win, nonetheless, to take that game. Keystone Oaks held the lead of 14-7 at halftime and 21-14 in the third quarter, but the Tigers scored twice in that fourth quarter.
And that was a big win for Beaver Falls. Some people picked Keystone Oaks in their pick-em, me included, and we'll take a look at that later on as we move on into the episode here today. We have coming up next, Quad A, 5A, and 6A brackets. All that and more on CUTV's High School Roundup.
CUTV's High School Football Game of the Week. Springdale at Jeff Morgan. Avella at California. Bell Vernon at Ringgold. Greensburg Central Catholic at Charleroi. Waynesburg at Southmoreland. Baldwin at Connellsville. Beth Center at Brownsville. Fraser at Bentworth. Bishop Canavan at Carmichaels. The longest running high school coverage in southwestern PA is on CUTV.
CUTV News Center is California University of Pennsylvania's award-winning student television newscast. Your source for live, local, late-breaking news. Forecasts from the CalU Weather Center. The region's latest entertainment news. Vulcan sports highlights and regional scoreboards with television news coverage you can't get anywhere else. Watch it live Thursdays on CUTV and on demand. CUTV News Center, online all the time.
And welcome back to High School Roundup here on CUTV. As we now go into the Quad A side of the brackets, and you see there the number 1 seed Thomas Jefferson took on the number 4 seed West Mifflin, and they took away the victory from West Mifflin. And Ringgold taking on Newcastle. Newcastle with the upset there, the 7 over the 6 seed. Danny, that was a big win for Newcastle.
It definitely is. Geno Stone ran for 5 touchdowns to give Newcastle, an 11-time Whitfield champion, its first trip to the final since 1998. Stone finished with 94 yards on 12 carries, and Marcus Hooker rushed for 178 yards, but did not score, still helping Newcastle get the victory over Ringgold.
And Steve, Thomas Jefferson, just that powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've talked about it in this whole season, really. I mean, there's nothing stopping. They're a freight train in this Quad A conference. So I think they're going to really take this one by the horns and just roll with it.
And I saw West Mifflin, actually, Matt Hagee and I both went to the West Mifflin-Bell Vernon game. And in the halftime break, the PA announcer was really just keeping everybody updated in the crowd and saying, oh, TJ's up big. And then you just heard them moans from West Mifflin. You know, you said that TJ's that thorn, or TJ's that thorn in West Mifflin's side. Yeah. And it just continued. I thought maybe if West Mifflin really cleaned up their play, maybe they had a shot against TJ. They looked good. They looked strong and fast there last week. But just the penalties and just mistakes that they've been making allowed TJ to get the win. And as you said, just keep rolling.
Well, we kind of saw that when West Mifflin took on Bell Vernon when you guys were there at the highlights. I mean, we were thinking that score should have been a lot bigger than it was. And if that was any indication of anything to come, they had no chance against TJ.
Right.
With TJ just being so good.
Yeah, it most definitely did. Like I said, the mistakes, penalties are huge. And just mishandling the ball, really. Obviously, West Mifflin cashed in on a few times against Mike Fine from Bell Vernon with a few interceptions that turned into touchdowns, but no scores in the second half. Yeah. You can't do that. If you're going in to play a game against TJ, you really have to execute on all cylinders. And right there, the score 35-7, they couldn't.
As we now move into the 5A side of the bracket, you see that West Allegheny taking on Woodland Hills. Number 1 seed came away with that victory. And then McKeesport, number 3 seed, taking on the number 7 seed Gateway. McKeesport came away with that victory. That'll be West Allegheny versus McKeesport in the semifinals. But Steve, talk about this McKeesport Gateway game.
Yeah, McKeesport getting that win over Gateway, and we always talk about that team that you never know when they're going to lose and when they're going to win. They just have some really just strange wins and losses. At the Gateway 44, McKeesport quarterback Javon Shears threw up basically a Hail Mary, just threw that ball right up that Jordan caught between 3 defenders at the 5-yard line. Jordan backed into several Gators players before he was pulled down to end the game. He lateraled the ball to J.J. Harper. This is something you see in a Madden game. This is something like you're just messing around with your friend. This is some backyard football that we had. He ran it into the to the end zone to give McKeesport the game-winning touchdown at the very end of the game. I mean, it's crazy. I wish we had video of it. It's rolling around on YouTube, social media, stuff like that. I mean, if you easily look it up, it was something that was pretty big. I mean, tackling just threw it back.
I mean, I've seen that a few times before where you're hit and you somehow get the ball off into the next person. But when I watched that play, I couldn't believe it. I was like, McKeesport with a huge victory. And I wanted to try to get that clip in here for this conversation, but I couldn't find a way to get it out of Twitter and whatnot to be able to get it onto High School Roundup. But just type in, McKeesport last play or something like that.
Gateway.
McKeesport Gateway last play. I'm sure it's somewhere. MSA Sports probably has it.
Yeah.
Whippeal Insider probably has it. So on Twitter, definitely try to check it out and find it because it is an amazing play from that McKeesport team.
Yeah, and he was like falling back as he was tackled. It looks like there were so many defenders that just had their arms all over the ball.
Right.
Somehow just manages to throw it out. Guys, literally right there. Storybook. You can't write it anymore.
Right. It's not like he jumped up, caught it, realized he was going to get tackled, and then just threw it back. He was on the ground falling and just like playing hot potato with the thing.
And it worked. It paid off. And that's what's the best. They just, as you said, just writing in their name and Whippeal playoffs now. Keep going.
Yeah. And we're going to move on to the 6A bracket now. As you see, Central Catholic took on Pine Richland. And Pittsburgh Central Catholic, always that powerhouse team, they defeated Pine Richland. And Seneca Valley, the upset here over North Allegheny, the number 2 seed. Steve, what a victory for Seneca Valley.
Yeah, and that's something you don't see out of North Allegheny really ever. Gabe Miller blocked a North Allegheny extra point with 0 time on the clock. That was the last play, was a blocked field goal after they scored a touchdown to send the Raiders to Hine Field for the first time since 1989. Hank Royal led the way for Seneca Valley, scoring 3 touchdowns rushing for them and 2 through the air. So, a huge game from him.
A very mobile quarterback, Hank Royal. Saw him when they played Mount Lebanon and Seneca Valley. I could tell, Mount Lebanon was a very good team as well, but Seneca Valley kind of has that mobile quarterback that you need to be able to keep moving on in these playoffs. And now they're going to face a very tough Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Danny, talk about that Central Catholic game. Yeah,
and 4 Central Catholic players rushed for a score. So running game for Central Catholic is really going to see if they can get started against Seneca Valley. Vikings racked up 330 yards on the ground, just in the rushing department. That's impressive at most. And they led by quick-hitting J.J. Younger, who with 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. The defending state champions have now won 20 straight games against Whippeal opponents. And now you got to look, Seneca Valley has a chip on their shoulder. They're going to try to knock them off. But it'll be definitely interesting to see.
Yeah.
We do have to mention, with these 6 classifications, there are 2 sites now for the championships. Heinz Field will be the one site that what everyone wants to play at, and the second site is at Robert Morris University. Steve, you're from the Whippeal. Talk about this, breaking up of the 2 championship sites.
Right. It kind of, loses interest in, I think, a lot of people. It's been there for years. It's been at Heinz Field for years. And to break it up, it's almost kind of unfair because I know Steel Valley, they're playing at RMU. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like playing favorites, I guess. These bigger classifications playing in Heinz Field, and then these lower ones, of course, are playing at RMU. But it kind of, takes some motivation away from people. Heinz Field is for years have been the place to be for high school football championships. So it's going to be weird. It's going to be strange. But I think the players and the teams are going to gonna adjust to it.
Do you think that the smaller classifications playing at RMU is going to help the atmosphere? Because obviously RMU is a smaller stadium than Heinz Field, and I would assume that if you pack RMU, the sound is going to be unbelievable there. The crowd cheering and whatnot. Do you think that may actually help these players feel like they're in a championship game?
Yeah, I mean, most. I don't know if you want to. Were you sending it to Dan?
You guys both.
What it is RMU and Heinz. They're kind of like a centerpiece to all of these WPIAL teams around them. So either way, it's pretty much the most neutral site that you can get. So either way, Heinz of course is extremely large, but packing RMU, it's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy, and whichever team has the most fans, I mean, that's going to be an absolute advantage on their side.
Yeah, and also just something to mention, them moving it from Heinz Field, there's a lot of talent from these smaller schools. You see a lot of players from these smaller schools going and playing at Pitt. You see a lot of these players going D1. And, I mean, taking away from Heinz Field, not necessarily takes away kind of an advantage, what you were talking about, how there's a lot of people there. These smaller classifications also, they don't have as many people at these schools. So it's going to be tough. I mean, a lot of fans might travel to RMU, but packing that stadium, it is a little bit of a smaller stadium. Big amount of seating on the one side and not really much on the other. Pretty much similar to how Adamson Stadium is set up here at Cal. But I think it does take a little bit of motivation, as you were talking about, away from the teams. As you see, Heinz Field has been that mecca, that holy mecca for all of these schools for so long, and now moving it from another site, it kind of puts a damper on them now. But I like it, though. I mean, it gives Robert Morris a shot to really just put on a show.
Recruiting.
Definitely.
Getting these young players.
Well, thank you for that, guys. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we have the championship predictions, not our pick'em. We will show you the winner of pick'em, and we will also have the top 10 plays to round out High School Roundup. As always, you've been watching High School Roundup right here on CUTV.
Since 1937, the Student Association Incorporated, known as SAI, has served the Cal U student body by providing activities, programs, and services. Every enrolled student has the ability to take part in over 125 different clubs and organizations. Managing participation in every SAI activity is easy with OrgSync, a powerful tool for staying connected. Located 1 mile from campus, the SAI Farm has 94 acres of meeting and recreational space. SAI, it's your student association.
And welcome back to High School Roundup here. As our director had to run back to the studio to get us back on the air. And it's time for the final pick'em standings. And guys, it was a wild and crazy ride, and it didn't end last week. It ended this week. And we had one person come away with the sole position of first place and the High School Roundup victory. And drum roll. It is the one and only Matthew Hagee.
Wow, 50 wins.
50 to 20
Wow.
is Matt Hagee's record. Me and Matt were kind of in the middle for a while, and then he jumped up, and Matt's blowing kisses to everyone. He lost it last year.
It's over.
Matt Hagee won it 2 years ago. As he comes onto the set here, the victor of High School Roundup's Pick'em. I go in second because Keystone Oaks, you messed up and you lost. But my man Matt Hagee right here, upsetting Scott Majeski after falling. Matt.
It's over. Once he starts blowing kisses, everybody knows it's over.
It's tough, but I mean, it was tough run. Scott, I thought Scott had us. I was about ready to give up, and I think I had one perfect one, and then I had one loss, and I just closed it outright. But 2 out of the last 3 years, building the dynasty, and hope to keep that going. So,
Any words for your fans out there?
Thanks for the support, and love y'all, and I'll be signing autographs after the show.
Thanks, Matt. As you saw in the graphic there, Stephen Ruffing, if we can put that graphic back on, Stephen Ruffing, you ended up in the bottom of the bracket there. But Steve, talk about how your first WPIAL rankings went here.
Look, I don't want to say I was dead last, but I definitely wasn't first.
And I thought I was dropping you, dude. I really thought.
Look, it was a good run. Some people can't hang with the high roller. So I mean, it's
even
not
high roller can,
it's
though.
not last place. It's my own first place.
Well, it was definitely. How'd you guys like your first pick'em? I mean, it was first pick'em, first time for Danny seeing all these new teams out here. How'd you like it?
I mean, it was interesting, at least in the beginning of the season, because, like you said, the first time I've seen any of these teams. Like, honestly, covering it for CTV last year did not help at all. It literally did not help. And now with the classifications...
But now, and we know the
tough.
teams.
Yeah,
exactly.
We
know the teams.
So now, hopefully, I'll build a dynasty. I mean, I'm not going to put anything on it.
Watch out for the Beck and High Roller next year. I mean,
you guys are going to see that.
We're hunting. We're just like we're coming out of
Ninja
nowhere.
cats.
Yeah, but just being from the WPO, everyone says like I had a lot of eyes on me like being from the WPO, but I wasn't familiar with like any of these teams. I'm more familiar with like the TJ, the West Mifflin, Still Valley, of course, Central about it. But I'm more familiar with like those closure games. I was pretty just coming in here blindfolded.
Yeah.
Just
so you didn't have an advantage either.
No,
so
no.
It was a
as
pretty
you can
even
tell
pick-em.
on the pick'ems.
I mean, honestly, Matt Hagee having a lot of experience, Scott Majeski having a lot of experience.
He had a lot
the
of
most experience. I'm surprised that Matt derailed him from that top seed. But great job from Matt as well, making these picks. Towards the end of the season, you saw a lot of the same people taking the same picks. I mean, that
Strategy.
helps. Definitely strategy. So maybe taking more risky in the beginning of the season, maybe that would have helped out, at least for me, because I was making rash decisions at the end of the season, so it really didn't help at all.
I mean, I was thinking about picking Beaver Falls over Keystone Oaks, but I was like, man, I don't want to tie for first place. So I was like, if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. And it goes to Matt Hagee. So it was a great round of pick'em. Again, thank you for everyone, Clinton Logan, Scott Majeski, and Zach Prosper, all the alumni of this show, helping us and giving us their picks as well so we can have them on the show as well and getting their picks because they were all alumni of this show as well. So thank you again, guys, for all your input on the games. And thanks to our director, Gary Smith, for getting that information out to Clinton Logan and Scott Majeski. And thanks to Matt Hagee for getting the information to Zach Prosba, who's all the way in Georgia right now. So thanks again, everyone, for participating in the High School Roundup Pick'em. We have next year, we'll start it all up again and hopefully have some more great pick'ems. But now it's time to move into the last top plays that we will do here on High School Roundup this year, the top 10 plays of the year. And we'll start off here with number 10. Danny, take it away.
I do, and sad to see the top 10 plays of 2016 coming to an end, but right here, Laurel Highlands is going to be actually a strip by Jacob Hoyle, and it's going to be a turn by Joe Williams traveling all the way down the field. And that's Laurel Highlands, and just sad to see it having a tough season, but hopefully they can bring it around next season.
Yeah, number 9, I have that one for you. It's going to be Joey Corley with a 45-yard touchdown run from Trinity against Laurel Highlands. Pretty sad to see that.
And then number 8, we have here West Mifflin at West Mifflin here in the playoffs. Darnell Carey fumbled it, picks it up, and he will go untouched for a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. And that was one of the greater kick returns we have seen. And it was just a great game for West Mifflin in that one in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was huge, and I was there for that one. Got West Mifflin going early, and then right here you see Bell Vernon against Laurel Highlands on that gold turf. Logan Frogner, a touchdown catch in the back corner of the end zone.
And then number 6, my man, Will Karwatsky, not going in the air this time. He's going to have a 78-yard touchdown run for Laurel Highlands.
And Will Karwatsky doing it himself there after Jimmy Pierce left there for California. As number 5 here, a back of the end zone pass, and it is complete there. And it was a beautiful catch at that Laurel Highlands game.
And right here we have number 4, a big catch right there on the side of the end zone. Big play there.
Yeah, and then number 3 here, we're getting to the top 3. Coach East Ryan, 87-yard run. Is that what it said? Yeah, 87-yard touchdown run for California.
And that was a beautiful run there. He almost went out of bounds. At number 2 now, we're going to have Charlotte High School. Gino Pellegrini, look at this, going right through the defense. Oop, break a tackle there, and then he's going to break another tackle here, keep himself moving. He's at the 20, and then juke a man out there, and he goes into the end zone for another great touchdown run. And now the blue ribbon play here. The number one play will not be upset, as it will remain Dorian Johnson here, thinking he's not going to take the kick. Then he does, and look what he does here, just spinning around some defenders there, breaking tackles left and right, and he will go all the way for the touchdown for West Mifflin. And that was just a great punt return for a touchdown by West Mifflin. That will remain our blue ribbon play this year. And guys, a lot of good top 3 plays and now top 10 plays.
Yeah, I was going to say the top 10 plays were just out of this world, really. Just an absolutely great display of athleticism out there on the football field this year. Best football I've seen in a while. I mean, out by me, there's good football, but out here it's very competitive. You see a lot of the playoffs, like the Whitfield playoffs right now. It's very competitive, and it was a good first season doing this and then also announcing for CUT as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to take this one directly from Forrest Gump. The Whippeal is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I'll just leave it at that.
Not wrong, but we're going to do one more thing here. We're going to look at our championship predictions. Who do we think will win everything in the Whippeal? And before they move on to the state tournament, as we look at the single A side here, I picked Clairton. Double A, I think Steel Valley, Steve's alma mater, can really get it done and win the Whippeal this year. Triple A, Aliquippa. Quad A, Thomas Jefferson. 5A, West Allegheny. And 6A, Pittsburgh Central Catholic, just dominating there. And then Steve, break down your picks.
I'm pretty sure that all of us have the same picks, but single A, Clairton, I mean, the powerhouse, whether they have Rochester or Jeanette, I think they're going to clean house on that. But double A, no matter what, even if Steel Valley wasn't number one, I'd still pick them because, you never bet against your own team. So I'm going to go with them. Triple A, Aliquippa, I think they're going to, they have a lot, they're playing for a lot in this game, something more than football. So I think they're going to really take this one. And then Quad A, Thomas Jefferson, powerhouse, of course. 5A, West Allegheny, again, another powerhouse. And 6A, Central Catholic. All of these were pretty obvious, I think, picks for us.
Hoping for an upset, but Danny, your picks real quick. Again, everything stays the same. Any reason why you picked certain teams over another?
Not to be redundant, I'm just going to stick with that. Clairton, like Steve was saying, Steve broke it down pretty well. I mean, all of these teams fighting for a lot more. Obviously, Aliquippa fighting for a lot more than football. But all these teams, very, very talented teams. Like I said, very talented in all of the Whippeal. These are the Whippeal's best, in my opinion. So that's why I see them getting their conference.
And Matt's prediction here, he has one upset here, AAA Beaver Falls. And, I mean, it's not impossible. It could happen. Right, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could. Aliquippa, of course, had a shaky season all year in Beaver Falls. This is their opportunity to come and just steal that Whippeal title from them.
It definitely buried. Both Gary and Matt went Beaver Falls. So, again, if anything of that happens, if we'll decide who wins that, and we'll let it out on Twitter at CTV_PA, and we'll tweet it out to everyone to let them know who won that prediction, those Whippeal playoff championship predictions. But guys, any last thoughts before we wrap up the last episode here?
Just thank you to everybody on our crew. Every CUTV week that we've gone out. Also, Jerry Dupay at Laurel Highlands in South Union Township. Just definitely getting all of our highlights this season. Thank you to everybody for that, allowing this show to pretty much happen. That's how we do most of our show. But just everybody here at CUTV, thank you.
Yeah, and I do want to say last one thing. Matt Hagee, I'm coming for you. The High Roller, next year. Pick'ems.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Jody High Roller is coming for Matt Hagee next season, as Matt is going to be an alumni after he finishes grad year. But again, thank you everyone for watching. It's been a great season of high school Roundup, and it's sad it's got to come to a close this season. But all three of us will be back here again next year for the next episode of High School Roundup. That's coming in less than a year. Before you know it, High School Roundup will be here in just a few more months, and it's been a great ride. Again, thank you to my analysts, Danny and Steve. They hosted a few episodes. Thank you guys for hosting some episodes. You guys did a great job. Hopefully you guys are going to host more episodes next year. You guys got your feet wet now with High School Roundup, so it was a great run. Thank you to our director and producer, Gary Smith, in the studio. Special thanks to the Sports Information Grad Assistant, Matt Hagee, an alumni of CUTV, helping out me with graphics. My first time producing the show with graphics and everything and the highlights and whatnot. So again, thank you to all our viewers out there watching High School Roundup here on CUTV. It was a great season. Again, thanks again for watching High School Roundup again on CUTV. We'll be back next year in September.